Hi guys, welcome back. So today I'm doing a video on this website called Find a Grave. Obviously, from the title, it's about grave sites, headstones, burial plots, whatever you want to call it. And this website's really great for doing genealogy work because headstones tend to give you names. Sometimes they'll give you maiden names or married names, so you can find last names for women. Which is kind of nice. And then obviously they give you a birth year and a death year. And then sometimes you can get a little bit more information off of headstones. Also on this website, sometimes people add documents and photos. Add documents such as obituaries and photos. And that way you can actually see what that ancestor or that person looked like. And then you can get a lot of information from obituaries. Their birth and their death days, birth and death places, who they married, who their parents were, who their kids were, their occupation, who they were personality-wise. There's just so much information in an obituary, and so you can kind of sometimes find them here on this website. I will also be doing a video on billions of graves, and I will link that video in the description box below. And LDS.org actually has a headstone section too, and I will link that video in the description box below. That way you can compare all three. So I guess let's get started on Find a Grave and figure out how this website works. So this is the home page. Up here at the top, Find a Grave. These are ways you can search. So you can search through memorials, cemeteries, famous people, or contributors. But pretty much if you click on any of them, brings up to the same little fill out beginning search engine stuff. Let's go back. Then over here on the right upper corner, there's register and sign in. So you don't need to sign in to use this website. It is a free website. But I will show you later on why you would want to sign in if that is something you are curious into doing. So down below is a little honorary person and a little snippet of that little honorary person. Then once again, add memories, upload photos, transcribe photos, and forms. That's actually where you would need to sign in, but we'll talk about that more later. So right here in the middle is just your basic search, your basic beginning search engine. So I guess let's search an ancestor. Sarah. So for females, you can do their maiden name or their married name, their last name. I'm gonna put maiden name here. So let me hurry and type that. And I will explain why here in a second, why I did her maiden name. So once again, you can fill in birth year, death year, cemetery. Or right here, you could do more options. So click down. And now you have more options you can fill out. Why I put the maiden name is you can now click right here saying maiden name. Search by maiden name, partial last name search, or nickname. So these are like some of the important ones you'll want to click on if you only happen to know the nickname or a partial of the last name. So, but I'm clicking maiden name because I know that's her maiden name. So I guess that's everything I'm going to fill out. So you can fill out as much as you want or you don't want, but word of advice, fill out as much as you can and see what it pulls up. If it can't pull up anything, start deleting information such as birth year, death year, cemetery, middle name, change to a maiden name or a married last name. So start changing some of your information or delete a lot of the information until you have just a bare basics. Just because sometimes what you think you know may not be what the website has. If you do something vague like I did, and you still don't find that ancestor, fill in more information. Or if you have too much information and you still don't find your ancestor, then dwindle down the information that you put in. So search. So now they listed Sarah Garrett. You can see right here the Garrett is in the italic form. That means it is a maiden name, and not her married name. But we also now have a picture, names, a birthday, a death day, and then cemetery information, such as what the cemetery's name is, where it's located, and stuff like that. This little flower symbol means that flowers have been left at the person's personal page. Obviously you can see pictures and see if there's pictures of headstones or pictures of what they looked like when they were alive, or pictures are not available at all. But I'm not seeing Sarah. Let me scroll through. Yeah, I'm not seeing a Sarah, so I'm gonna refine my search. Actually, I've realized I spelled her last name wrong, so I'm gonna hurry and correct that. Or I could add more information. But I think spelling her last name correctly should help find her. So let's go search. And now I have a new list of names that I can scroll through. Let's see if I can find her. Right here is actually my ancestor. So now we can click on her name or click on the cemetery. If we click on the cemetery, it should bring up the cemetery page. So let's click on that. Yep, sure enough, it is pulling up the Caysville Cemetery, and now we know information about the Caysville Cemetery. We have a location, a number, how many memorials they have there. Oh, and 90% of them are photographed. That's cool to know. You can share, add to favorites. So we can click on photos, see the photos they have of the cemetery, click on map. A map, hopefully. Oh, yep. A Google Maps of where it's at. Let's go back to cemetery because I'll have more information. And let's scroll down, and now you can see, now you can have an option of contributing. See more photos that they have of the cemetery. Then they have a list over here on the side of list of famous people who are buried in the cemetery. And this little star right here just means that they are famous people. And then you can search right here up ancestors in the Caysville Cemetery. So that's pretty much what the cemetery page is like. So let's go back and look at Sarah. So here's Sarah, and we'll click on her. And now it has brought us to Sarah's personal page. So we have Sarah's name, Sarah Ruth Garrett, Garrett being her maiden name, and then Ogden her married last name. So we have a birthday, a birthplace, a death date and a death place, a burial place, a plot number, and a memorial ID. See, there's a lot of information right here. And we haven't even gone down the page yet. So let's scroll down. And off to the side you can see photos of Sarah. So we have her headstone, another picture of a headstone or a second headstone, which happens sometimes, and then a photo of Sarah when she was alive. We can actually click on the photo and it is now enlarged and we can look at it, and we can click on the arrows on the side and view the other photos. So there's her headstone, and there's her other headstone, and then of course exit. So right here in the middle is what they call a memorial section. I call this the obituary section or the memory section. So we have right here that she married an Edward and she had this many kids. Cool, she had twins. And then we kind of have an obituary going on right here, or a story, a memory story about her. So we can click read more and read more of her story. Go through and see all that. So let's scroll back up and do the stuff on the right side. See more Ogden memorials. So what this is doing here is it looking for anybody with the last name Ogden and then giving groups that you can look through. such as you can look through a small group of Kaysville Cemetery, or you could go through the Kaysville City, the whole Kaysville City, and see anybody with the last name Ogden who was buried in Kaysville City, or anybody with the last name Ogden who was buried in Davis County, or in Utah, or the United States, or just on the Find a Grave website as a whole. So, from large to small, pretty much. Small to large. So if we click on one, such as Utah, it is now bringing up with the list of people with the last name Ogden who are buried in the state of Utah. And you can go through and review that list, because these are possible ancestors or possible relatives. So let's go back. And then we have ways you can explore, such as going to newspapers.com, military records, go through ancestry.com, through a DNA test, or more information about the Ogden family. And you can click on those and go to those websites, those sponsored websites, and learn more about your ancestor. So down below, so right here is a list of ancestors. Like we saw earlier up here, she married an Edward, and these are her children. We can click on them and go to their personal page, which we'll do in just a second. And then you can scroll down below and see flowers that people have left behind. Sometimes they write little notes saying, "Oh, I'm so sad to see this ancestor go." I remember hearing stories growing up about this ancestor, how much they loved their grandparents or whatever. So people can write little notes and leave flowers for this ancestor on their personal page. Then right underneath that it says leave a flower, so you can click on that, and you'll have to sign in if you want to leave a flower. So let me hurry and sign in. So let's try, now that I've signed in, let's try leaving a flower again. So now we can choose a flower, and let's go like forget-me-nots, and then you can write your little message, and then choose what options you want them to display your name as. And then you just click add a note or cancel. In my case, I'm just going to click cancel. So let's go back to showing the family members. So like I said, you can click on these and view the other ancestors' personal pages. So we'll click on her husband, Edward. And now we can view Edward's personal page. So it's pretty much the same, a picture, if there is one, Edward's name, birth, death, burial information, memorial information, things that people have possibly typed about the ancestors, or memories, or whatever you want to call it. What we haven't gone over is this stuff right here. So you can add a photo. You have to be logged in and be a member to add a photo or leave a flower like we saw earlier. Being a member is actually free, and so it doesn't cost you anything, so you don't have to worry about having a subscription. It's just a free membership. So let's click add a photo, and then you just select through the photos and follow those steps. Or you can request a photo. So if an ancestor doesn't have a headstone, this is where you would request a photo. And when a photo gets requested, what happens is it will send a request to the person who lives near where that ancestor is buried, and send them a request saying, "Hey, can you find the headstone of so-and-so? Here's their information, their burial information." And that person, the volunteers for that area, will go out and try to find the headstone and then take pictures and upload it here online, and you'll get an email right when the photo is uploaded. Or if the headstone is not available, you'll get an email saying, "Hey, they tried to find a headstone and it's not available," which does happen. So let's show you what that looks like. We'll click on that. So this pop-up has came up and it says, "Great news! We have 713 volunteers within a 10 miles of your request photo location." And then 3,556 volunteers within a 50 miles. So, like I said, they actually ask somebody in that 10-mile radius to go find their headstone, or somebody within that 50 to go find that headstone or that picture you were looking for. And then if you want to leave a little note to them, you can leave a note right here, and have a note to the volunteer. So I'm going to close out of that. So moving on, we have memories or memorial, like we talked about, photos. So let's click on that. And now we could see all the photos. So if we were back on Sarah, it would list all her 3 photos. But we only have 1 photo for Edward. And we can click on flowers. Now we can view the list of people who have left the flowers and see their cute little notes. So if you want to start a new search, I just recommend going up here and clicking on Find a Grave, and it should bring you back to the home page. And now you can start a new search. So let's start a new search. I'm going to try this new ancestor. Martha Witcher. Oh, whoops, I forgot. Let's do a death year, 1846. So let's do a birth year. I think it was 1824. Okay. I am not going to put a cemetery location for her, because this ancestor, actually, we don't know where she's buried. I know, it's kind of cool, kind of crazy. We don't know where she's buried, but yet she still has a personal page here on Find a Grave. This is one of the reasons I love Find a Grave. Even though somebody doesn't have a headstone, or we're not exactly sure where they're buried, they still have a personal page here on Find a Grave. We still record as much information as we can about this ancestor, unlike other websites. So let's do a search and see if we can find her. So here's Martha. So as I said before, here's their name, here's their birthday, death date. Sadly, she doesn't have a photo. And then over here on the side, she has an ID number, but it says unknown. Like earlier we saw it said Kaysville Cemetery in Kaysville, Utah. For her, it says unknown. So that's what that kind of looks like when they don't know where they're buried. We'll go see her personal page. So this is Martha's personal page. It looks the same as before, except for now we don't have any photos. So we don't have a photo of her headstone or what she looked like when she was alive. We could try requesting a photo, but obviously they're not going to find her headstone because it doesn't exist. So yeah. But we could still see her name, her birthday and place, her death date and place. Once again, with burial, it just says unknown. And then her memorial ID. She also doesn't really have very much of a story here on the website, but that happens. We do, on the other hand, have people who have left some flowers. And we can click like view all or click on the flowers to see everybody who left flowers for her. And we do also have relatives. So we have 1 child and 1 husband. Another cool thing about this website is that they do list the family members, and they tell you, hey, this is a spouse, this is a child. In some cases, you can find their parents, like their parents will be listed. It'll be parent, spouse, child. And then you could just follow the parent line back and back and back and back and keep going and add to your family tree that way. Or you can find lost children that you didn't know exist and find these lost spouse and children and add them onto Family Search, add them to your family tree. So one of the really cool features about this website that I so totally love. So I think that's everything about their personal page. So now let me show you how you could be a contributor to find a grave. I'm going to go up here and click on my name or my account and go account. Okay, so here's the account information. So here's my account information. Deal with the blurs. I gotta protect myself, so the blurs are there. And then you can just change things. So your general information, your password, your email address, photo volunteer, your flower settings, notifications, your site preference. That's actually kind of cool. We should go over that in a second. And download data. Oh, apparently you can download information from this website. Did not know that. Okay, let's go to photo volunteer. So you click on photo volunteer and you click on this box saying, I would like to be a photo volunteer. Here's the zip code that I live in, or you can pin yourself on a map and say default by however many miles work for, or how many miles you want to go and do volunteer work for. Little words of advice. If you volunteer for this website, they're going to email you, and then you go out to that cemetery that they tell you to go to and look for that ancestor. If you do come across a headstone, take a picture of it the best of your ability. If you can't read what the headstone says very well, there's a couple options of things you could do. Bring some aluminum foil with you and put the aluminum foil over the headstone and then rub your finger across it. Rub those little engravings. You can put your fingers in those little grooves and it shows up the writing so much more or better, and then you can understand what it says. That's just a tip or a trick, and then you can take a photo of that and it helps the person know what the headstone says. So take a picture of it before the aluminum foil and then while the aluminum foil's on it, just so they can understand what it says. That's one tip. Another tip is bring some papers and some crayons and do that little artwork you do in kindergarten where you place the paper on top and then you rub the crayon. That also helps being able to see what the headstone says on it. So those are two options of how to view the words on the headstone better if it has happened to wear off due to the elements. Then I wanted to show you the site preference, so we can click on site preference. I have it set to dark theme, but you can set to like a light or a classic pinkish color, it looks like. So you can change your options. So another thing you do is run your mouse over the profile and go to My Memorials. Here in My Memorials, it will list all the people or ancestors that you have added to this website, and so you can manage those people and take care of their personal pages. And then if you click on their page, it should bring you up to their personal page. Oh, we actually have for her, I have put in her parents, her spouse, her children, and her siblings. So that's what it looks like if they have more family members. You have a list of parents, spouse, siblings, and children. Just a quick side note just to show you guys what that looks like. So I hope this video was helpful, and this website will help you guys out in doing genealogy work and getting to know your ancestors better and hopefully find new information about your ancestors that you didn't know. So this website also kind of helps for like Memorial Day, where it's a day where you go and visit your ancestors' headstones or grave sites and say hi to them. Now you can look up certain ancestors and figure out where they are buried and possibly go visit their headstones for Memorial Day. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. If you guys have any questions, please comment below. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. If you guys have any suggestions on anything else I should film, please also comment below. And I hope you guys all have a beautiful week. Bye!